Welcome to the Pure Motivation Podcast Show, where we give you the 5 F's to success, sustainability, and accountability in life. We talk fitness, we talk food, we talk family, we talk feelings, and most importantly, we talk finance as well. Today, we're going to be joined by Daniel Chiquino, our fitness director at Pure Motivation Fitness.
How's everybody doing?
You got it. And we're going to be tackling and talking about the fitness assessment, the importance of the fitness assessment, what's involved in the fitness assessment, and why you, the listeners, should understand how to understand when you're joining a gym, when you're thinking of joining a gym, what you should be encountering and what the actual process begins. Before we jump into the topic, I want to just let all our viewers know that if this is something you're interested in getting involved with, or you're interested in making that change. I know that's crazy times right now, and I know that maybe you're wanting to start a fitness program but not really sure if you should go to a gym, if you're worried about entering a club, or if you want to do it at home. We have an amazing 15-day trial program at Pure Motivation Fitness. If you go to our website, puremotivationfitness.com, or if you want to jump right into the trial at purefit.ca, you can actually try out the program for 15 days. You can meet with our coaches, get a full assessment. Everything we're talking about today, you'll be getting with the trial. Or if you're interested, we can do the same process online virtually. A lot of people have been calling us and asking us, if I'm not interested in coming into the gym, can I do it virtually? All right, so Dan, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. So I'm going to let you lead off with your points. I got some of my points, but let's start off. Let's just jump into it and let's talk about the process of a fitness assessment and what it is for someone who doesn't know.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's probably the most important appointment anybody could ever have if they're embarking on their fitness journey. Most importantly, because firstly, obviously you get to know the individual, but most important over that, you want to ensure that you're customize it to make sure that it is going to be a very safe program for them. So let me break down how our process works. So we kind of take what's called an MHG approach. So first and foremost, we screen their medical background. In there, we'll obviously go through, if they have any acute chronic pains, what's their medical history, do they have any medications we should know about? And later on after that, well, then another most important part would probably be what their previous exercise experience is. So have they worked out before? Have in the past 6 to 12 months, what have they been doing? Do they have a physically laborious job? Have they ever worked with coaches before in a one-on-one or group setting? After that, we'll get into an in-body screen. If you guys don't know what in-body machine is, it's one of the most accurate bioelectrical impedance machines out there. It scans full composition, which typically when people come in, they'll say, we want to tone up, we want to lose weight, we want to put on muscle. Well, that really comes down to a composition change, right? That's
and it breaks it down to segmental. So you got your both lower extremities, left leg, left arm, right arm, and your trunk.
Yeah, so that's really the stats that you need to set proper goals after that. So once we get the in-body assessment, we'll then sit down, go over their goals, and show them what realistic and healthy zones are, primarily for body fat percentage. Because, again, getting back to when a lot of people come in, over the years, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've probably done over 2,500 consultations. Me and Demetra just trying to add it up a little while ago before you started this podcast.
5 to 7 a week, over 52 weeks, over 10 years.
A lot of people come in typically with the same goals, which is they want to lose weight, they want to tone up, they want to put on muscle. And like I was mentioning, those are essentially body composition changes. So the number one most important tool is tracking it. So that's why a good machine like an in-body that can actually track it is essential to setting proper goals.
Another thing that I'm going to add in here is when it comes to the medical point, a lot of people go to gyms and they're there to get aesthetic goals. Let's be honest. Everybody wants to lose body fat around their midsection. Grab your stomach right now, squeeze it. If you don't like it, you want to go to a gym and you want to burn that off. You want to build muscle. However, before you can actually train somebody and help them be more mobile, have more strength, have better movement quality, you got to break down dysfunction. And the medical process, one, we look for internal. We're going to look at your heart. What is your blood pressure? What's your resting heart rate? Does the client understand what that means? If we can help them understand the 120/80, the resting heart rate, you're actually giving education. When you educate the client on the importance of cardiovascular health, now they're going to pay attention to doing a little bit of cardio on their off day, or making sure that if they are stressed out, they can work on breathing techniques, meditation and so forth. When you're looking at a background in medical, some gyms that you go to will just, what's your medical? No problem. Perfect. You haven't had any injuries? Perfect.
Some won't even do it at all.
They won't even do it at all.
Which is pretty scary, guys. When you really
a club
think about
last
it, right?
week to do, a session at an orange club, let's just call it. I'm not going to mention names, but there was no screening process. There was just walk in, fill out the waiver. Okay, perfect. Come in 10 minutes for your session. Let's begin. That's crazy. When people are coming in, our clientele, our type of clientele is the busy business professional who's really, really stressed out at work, owns a company, manages a company, is traveling. We got the dedicated super moms that are at home taking care of their families. We have a wide demographic. We have the proactive baby boomer, and we also deal with the young athletic youth. So when someone's coming in and we go through the medical, we want to empower them to know that tear that you had in your knee 4 or 5 years ago, let's not forget about that. Let's try to work on fixing that area. So when you try to squat or run in the treadmill, you're going to be stronger. Let's focus on what medication are you currently taking. Let's make this really intimate. Let's find out what your lifestyle is like. So if we're going to help you change your body fat percentage and teach you how to train better, if we can help you learn about your medical and we can give you some stats using an in-body, using physical fitness strength tests on the floor, now you're empowered to not only join a gym, to not make that decision, which is hard, but you're actually looking at it from a deeper point of view, which is from a medical standpoint versus I want to lose my tummy, right? So next you talked about movement quality. Dan, what does that mean? Because some people are thinking about, can I roll a ball on the floor?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously after we're done setting goals according to what their in-body scan said, we do obviously touch on more or less what body type they are, what traits they do have of the 3 somatotypes, which in case you forgot what they were, is ectomorph, mesomorph, endomorph. A lot of us can be clear-cut one of them or have traits of them, or we can have combinations of multiple, right? Over time we can adapt and evolve into another body type trait per se. Anyway, so from there we'll approach what kind of nutrition is probably best, and then we'll have them start filling out a food journal, to take one home to start filling out, so they could end up seeing our naturopath as well for more of a customized approach. So now on to like what Dimitri was saying, a movement screen. A movement screen is another essential component to recommending proper exercise and fitness. Why? Because you're assessing baseline movement. So whatever goals people want to achieve, whether it's you're trying to drop body fat, put on muscle, get stronger, get faster, jump higher.
Rehab an injury.
What matters most is your baseline movement. Now, if there's something wrong with the foundation, and I always like using this analogy as clients can pick, scientific things up a lot easier if they don't have that background. Picture the movement screen as we're assessing the foundation of your house, right? If there's a crack in the foundation, once you start applying more load, for example, so if someone's trying to put on muscle, you need to apply more load over time. It's the only way that you can put on muscle. And obviously
repetitive stress, running, jogging, jumping jacks.
And obviously with proper nutrition. Or on the flip side, if someone's trying to burn body fat, it's more about high intensity, more higher work to rest ratios, and constant, increasing the intensity over time. So if you're applying that to somebody in one of those goals, whether it's, put on muscle or dropping body fat, but their baseline movement is faulty, meaning when they're squatting, their hips are shifting, or they have knee instability, and they're having their knee cave in when they're doing, single leg movements, or they have rounded shoulders, or they don't have mobile shoulders or hips. Once you start applying, like I was mentioning, higher load or high intensity, something's going to happen. The foundation is going to crack. And the last thing people want to do is get hurt while they're working out. On our clock, happens. We do not ever want to see that. As obviously, as professionals, that's one of the worst things you could ever witness. or have on your clock, and it's obviously not good for business, and a client would not want that, right? So it's extremely important. From there, we'll be able to let our coaches know, and with our system, it's so intricated in terms of the communication between the individual that's assessing, the person that's onboarding, and then passing on their respective information to our coaches. So once we do that screen where we're assessing baseline movement, which is basically how mobile is someone and how stable are their joints, right? In a nutshell, that's kind of what we're looking at. So from there, we'll see, okay, what's best? Do they need more of a one-to-one approach? Do they need more of a rehab approach? Or can they work in groups of 3 to 6 people? So at that point, we'll make that decision, and we'll then communicate to the coaches the individual's background, and then they can carry forth with the recommendations that.
Another point I'm going to add in there is, for those of you who are very new to the terminology we're talking about, and you're like, listen, I'm an accountant, I'm an engineer, I don't know what dysfunction means. Think of your skeleton, okay? You're 15 years old, great skeleton, great posture. 20 years old, no problem. Once you hit your 30s and 40s, once you hit 50s, you start getting tightness in the shoulders.
Throw COVID at you too.
Right? You start having people leaning forward more, crouching forward. You have people that are not doing a hinge movement. For those of you who don't know what a hinge movement is, some form of a deadlift where you're pressing your pelvis back and you're using the posterior side of your body. People aren't doing plank movements. They're not doing pull movements. So you end up getting a body that's showing up at your gym that's kyphotic, tight shoulders, rounded posture, rounded hips, and they're saying, hey, I want to lose 50 pounds. So when you have a skeleton that's tight, when you or have poor posture, when you have muscles and tendons and ligaments that are tight, when you have overworked trapezius muscles because you're always on a laptop, you're sitting all day. Now you get tendons and ligaments pulling on the skeleton, okay? And now this person does not have the proper range of motion. So when you throw them in a class, like many other clubs do, I don't care if it's a 45-minute workout and you have 15 to 20 people in a class. I don't care if it's going to be rowers. I don't care if you're going to be running on a treadmill. The worst thing you can do is not fix their posture, not fix their skeleton before you get them losing weight.
Yeah.
Because what ends up happening is they're going to lose some weight right away, no problem. They're going to want to go hard. They're going to want to push. And then you've got poor posture that's just getting worse.
I was going to add to that, like Dimitri mentioned before, I mean, we have a really wide demographic that come to our club. And I mean, everyone from very active young people to, people that might be into their 40s, 50s that haven't worked out, 10, 20 years. And I'll truthfully say that because of our current conditions, like I was mentioning before, throw COVID at you right now, everybody or majority of the population has some sort of postural dysfunction. So I would say roughly 8 out of 10 people that I'll do a consultation with in a screen will have some sort of a postural issue going on, which, like I said, limits the quality of their movement, which when they're going to train, if that baseline isn't fixed and worked on, or our coaches aren't aware of it, an individual can get hurt, and then they can't push themselves that much harder later on, right? So once we finish the screen, we take them on the floor and do a mini one-on-one session. Why? Because we want to see how they move one-to-one, and we want to teach them the main movements, okay? So if any of you out there don't know the main movement patterns.
Primary movements of every person. And right. I like saying the word skeleton because we got to remember this as we're humans that, move around. Right.
Sorry. So the main movements are squatting, sitting up and down from a chair, hinging the hips like Dimitri was saying, which is picking something off the ground like a box, pushing the hips back, right? Having a neutral spine, sticking the butt out, as we say. Twisting, any sort of twisting, pushing, pulling, walk or gait, lunging. So these are, and carrying actually could be considered a primary movement as well. So anyways, we go through a session and coaching these main movements. Now, it's funny when people ask me, what are the main exercises to put on muscle, Dan, or if I want to drop body fat, I'll say the functional movements. It just depends how you apply them, right? So, and what rep ranges, what rest times you're applying to them. So we do want to see how they do these movements, and we'll put it into a session and make sure they're coached properly on how to deadlift properly, how to brace the core, how to push your hips back, how to push your feet through the ground while you're doing it. So all these key cues will give them in that initial mini session in the consultation, so that when they enter the small group format, they feel a lot more confident when doing these movements, which, like I was mentioning, whether someone's weight loss or weight gain, they're still doing a squat, a hinge, a twist, a carry, a push, a pull, because that's what elicits the biggest results and the biggest bang for the buck.
Now, check this out, guys. I'm sure you guys all want to invest in a coach. Our philosophy was, the story of PMF was, we're a personalized studio focusing on body type specific training and eating. We evolved from one-on-one training. We have classes, but our dream is to have everybody with a coach. Why? Because you're going to get better results and you're going to time collapse in terms of getting the results you want. So what better way for a gym, a club in the city, to not only have the smartest guy in the club, the fitness director who's in charge of program design with our program director who's in charge of seeing everybody for consultation, but what an amazing process and system where when the fitness director assesses you, does a movement screening process, uncovers areas of opportunity. We call them opportunity, not weaknesses, because we want to get you better at that. But now when he's passing them down to the coaches, the entire team is certified on the same DTS Level 1 certification through Kevin Darby. Amazing, amazing person, amazing educator. But everyone understands the same language. So for example, Joe comes in, sees Daniel. He's got kyphotic posture. He's got rounded hips. He's sitting all day. He's got no movements quality, and he can't lunge if his life depended on him. You put him in a class, and instead of going through and having to sit with the coach now and go through a half an hour going through all the stats, the coaches can pop up their profile of the client. They look through it, and they'll know failed the knee alignment test, or failed the wall arm slide assessment, or failed shoulder flexion assessment. So now the coach, fitness director are in the same line. If there's 6 people in a class and we tell them 2 of these people have poor shoulder mobility, then that means no shoulder press movements. So if the program for the day has shoulder press with a dumbbell or barbell, and we know that Joe's got poor mobility, hey Joe, do me a favor. You're going to do a row right now to work on something different. That's unique. That's something that not a lot of clubs are doing, and not a lot of clubs will tackle this because there's a lot more customization and planning involved.
Absolutely. And also to touch on that, the size of the class, right? It's much easier for us to have people of different demographics, ages, exercise experience, movement quality, and working together when classes are 3 to 6. It's a very sweet spot in terms of the amount of people. I don't care how good the coach is or the program, but when you have 20 plus people in a class, there's no way that a coach can have people of different backgrounds working together and be able to regress and progress exercises with the clients, with the intention of the client's progress at hand, right? It's just way too difficult.
We did the boot camp training before COVID, and ourselves, we've coached many different classes at the club, a decade of being in the business, both me and Dan. But it's nice to sell something that's very economical. It's nice to sell something that's, rah-rah high fives. But at the end of the day, if Joe and, Mrs. Johnson have low back pain and they do not know how to do a bent over row or they hold a plank properly, and they're in a class of 20 people, as cheap as it may be, when they're doing the bent over row incorrectly, and that coach is really trying hard to look at 5 people doing the bent over row and 1 guy's at the end of the gym doing it wrong, you can't really customize a workout. So being able to A, assess this in a proper fitness assessment is important. B, trailing it down to the coach and the team, the frontline guys. If they don't have that knowledge, it's going to be worse for the client. And C, more importantly, if the client can learn how to fix their body, how to understand where their body is, how to learn why they're moving the way they are, there's no way for them to make changes. Because if the client wants to do some lunges on the weekend, and Dan said, listen, when you lunge, your knees buckle in because you have poor mobility, or you have poor flexors, or you have too strong of one area of your knee, here's the 2 exercises you should try by yourself. They're going to actually do that because they care about fixing their knee, right? So that's 1 or 4 points we talked about. I'm going to tell you some points that I really feel are important about doing the assessment. And
More like the psychological side.
Yeah, you know
Right.
what? It's all about storytelling, and it's about building the RRT approach. I told my staff, I told Daniel, I told all my coaches, if you have not built rapport, relationship, and trust with your client, if they do not know, like, and trust you, do not ask them to spend $1. Do not try to pitch them on personal training. Do not try to offer them a personal training package just because you're a coach and you're wearing a name tag. You need to make sure that you help the client feel welcome. You help the client feel comfortable. You help the client be able to open up to you and share to you that while they were kids, they were teased on, they were picked on, they had some kind of emotional trauma, which is why they're eating like crap right now, which is why they're binging on Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays. So old versus new concept. You go to the old style gyms, and I highly recommend for you to call 3 clubs this weekend, call our club if you want, and ask them, hey, I want to come in and I want to sign up. What's the process? And if they just say to you, hey, just come in, we'll fill out your form, we'll take your, your weight and your body fat and we'll get you going. That's the worst way to join a gym. If any gym you call, whether it's in Canada and the US, start talking to you about somatotyping, about body type, if they start explaining to you some of the science behind training, that's where you want to be at, because guys, let's get this through your heads. It's 2020. Take a look at all your employees. Take a look at your family. Take a look at when you walk out on the street. Look at people walking by you. They're either tall, lanky, they got long arms and long legs, they're very thin. That's your ectomorph. They're a medium build, they're stocky, they got wide shoulders, smaller waist, they can yo-yo up and down with their weight. That's a mesomorphic body type. Or they got big wrists, ankles are thick, neck is thick, shorter, stockier build, slow metabolism, their carbohydrate intolerances is not proper, they gain weight quickly. So if we're looking at the human species and we're all different and we kind of fall into one of these places, how on earth can you sign someone up at a gym and just say, we have classes, we have trainers? Well, guess what? Everyone in the gym, everyone in the world has got classes and trainers. What makes you different? So the second point I want to talk about here is a customized consultation approach. I'm very big on education, and I'm very big on making someone fall in love with you, fall in love with the process, fall in love with learning. If you can call me and you're 50 pounds overweight and you come and see me for an assessment, or you come and see Joe Bob at another club, and Joe Bob's going to give you $100 less per month, and all he's going to do is weigh you, ask you your goals, and tell you what time his classes are, versus sitting down with you and talking about, give me like 20 years ago, what was your health like? Before you got married, what was your health like? When you got that injury and you hurt your back and you were in the hospital for 3 months, what happened after that? When you lost your job, when you started your job? For the females out there, when you had your 3rd child, what was it like? When you don't customize the approach and get your clients to give you that information, so now you're building something that's customized, all you're doing is a cookie cutter program, and basically it's the same as any other club. Okay, you walk in, you get your assessment, here's your pricing. We talk about personalized service. This is the personal training industry. Our industry has been washed up. Our industry is devalued. Everyone under the sun is offering free 7 days, free personal training. I can go get a certification over the weekend at CanFit Pro. I can get certified and I can charge you $50, $75 an hour because I got a big chest, I wear a tank top, and I shave my chest. That's how this industry has gone to. Now, people are more educated. Buyers are smarter. Okay. Definitely. They got online resources. They can call and they can spy shop and they can try things out. A club like ours that offers you 15 days of access, classes, follow-up, accountability for a price of $79. Now that's a confident club. Whereas someone else is going to try to close you or sell you on the first session, that's someone that really needs that sale or feels that if they let you try it out, you may go somewhere else. So we have a different approach. We specialize in body type training, and we let people know you're here for a reason. We're going to motivate you, educate you, and empower you to stay accountable to your goal. Okay. We also want to offer undercover needs analysis. I guarantee you, if we did a phone screening consultation, because some of you listening say, listen, I live 5 hours from your club. I live in another city. I'd love to come join you guys, but I heard you on a podcast. I don't mind doing something online with you. Call us. Let's go through the same entire process online. Let's uncover the needs analysis that you need. You may have the equipment at home. You may have the finances. You may have the wife or the person at home that's going to be doing the cooking, but you don't got accountability. So if we can't keep you accountable, how are you going to make changes?
Absolutely. That's a really big one, Dimitri. Let's say with our program, everything we just explained to you, the way we screen, the way it's really personalized to the individual, the way we set them up properly in a class. But imagine there was no accountability after that. I would not consider our program great. I would not consider that type of a fitness program great, because it's 2020. You can find exercises, nutrition programs for free everywhere. But why is the population still, a big part of the population still not working out, still not eating properly? Accountability is huge. So with our program, the way we've set it up, whether it's online or in person, online, we will still have bi-weekly or monthly Zoom check-ins where individuals can provide us an update of their fitness nutrition programs. We can provide them feedback. We can update it for them. In person, here at our club, we provide monthly check-ins with every single member. Every member gets that part of their program here, and they receive an in-body assessment. So basically, we're trying to assess, have they moved with their lean mass or body fat, if those are one of their goals. And they can also receive an independent program. But
that's in 15 days, man. So typically we got people who come in here and they just want to try us out. They'll pay the fee, they'll do the program, and in 15 days they've lost 1.5% body fat. They've seen their waist has dropped down, and more importantly, they've convinced themselves that fitness is not something that's like either a yes or no. I can do it or I can't, right?
And secretly, guys, we're gonna expose a bit of a secret to our members and clients. The major reason why we do these monthly assessments is for accountability, right? It's not just to do the in-body assessment, track progress, and give an independent program. It's to check in with them, get that face-to-face contact, or whether it's virtual, getting that contact, because that's what's going to catapult them long-term to achieving a result and essentially keeping fitness and proper nutrition in their lifestyle, which is the long-term objective, right? So just to touch what I was briefly saying right now,
100%.
Having a screen is really important. Having great, small group programs is important. But once the individual has, decided to invest with us and do a program, accountability is huge. And we have a system set up on purpose to make sure people stay accountable and keep fitness in their lifestyle long term.
To touch on that, we're talking accountability. We're talking, the importance of the fitness assessment. We need to explain the fact that our job is to empower behavioral change. Our job is to change lives. Our job is to take you from the no mentality, I don't know, I don't think I can, to waking up by yourself saying, I can. Now, think of how hard a personal trainer's job is. Think of the fitness coach, the industry. We are placed in the position where we have all this knowledge. We love exercising. We love food prep. We love training inner thighs, outer thighs, scapula. We love doing all the movements that are needed for movement prep. But then when it comes to behavioral change, we get clients that we see maybe once, twice, 3 times a week. Their eating habits could be off the chart. We don't have them for 23 hours a day. So the job of the fitness assessment, or a proper fitness assessment, is to empower behavioral change, to explain to people that we're going to set up goals for you, but we're not setting outcome goals of, I want to lose 30 pounds of fat. I want to lose 5% body fat. I want to be able to lift whatever amount of weight. We're trying to cut them up into baby goals. And we want to say, you know what, for the first 15 days, all we want you doing is making sure that you're coming in 3 times a week. We want you writing down what you're eating and making notice of the foods that are bad that you're eating.
Yeah, absolutely. Setting small goals is huge. It's actually, from a very famous book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Everyone should check it out. That's one of the biggest points he touched on. Setting small goals, which end up compounding over a period of time, right? So there's no point bombarding someone and saying, yeah, you're going to have to drop 1% body fat in 2 to 4 weeks if they've never exercised in 10 years, right? It's about laying the foundation just to getting fitness into their lifestyle, understanding what's good nutrition, maybe changing just their breakfast for the first, 2 to 4 weeks. And then after that, they can start making a lot more solid changes after that, right?
So guys, I'm going to give you guys a summary of what you should look for if you're going to join a gym. Let's say you're listening to us and you don't live in Toronto, you don't live in Canada, you're wherever you are, and you're like, listen, these guys are really cool, but I'm going to join the gym down the street from me. One, we do a process of we go through the medical background, go through training, injuries. Someone should explain to you what your heart rate is, what your resting heart rate is, and blood pressure. You should know the science behind it. You should know what affects it. You should know different ways to work on lowering it. Go through a training history. Someone should be asking you, what are you currently doing right now? How long have you been doing it? How has the results been with you? Have you seen progress? Is there anything you do not like doing? That way, if someone says, I hate jumping jacks, I'm not going to do them. Every time I do jumping jacks, I got to go to the bathroom because I had 3-4 kids. That information is relayed back to our coaches. So when you're in a class, if you do not like doing jumping jacks and you say that you told one person, I do not want to do them, it makes me uncomfortable, we'll put that in your profile so the coach can see that and give you something different. That's customization. That's a system. We go through goal setting. There's a difference between behavioral goal setting and outcome goal setting. We go through a lifestyle analysis, and I'm talking, what are your fears? What are your distractions? What are some setbacks that can get in the way of stopping us to get your result? If someone puts down here, my husband brings home Timbits every day and, pop and beer and pizza on the weekends, now we know how to work around that. And our nutrition coach can know that information to work around to help you. We go through an occupational scanning. Are you sitting all day? Are you standing all day? What's your water consumption? We look at nutrition. When you're looking at nutrition, we're looking at performance nutrition. What kind of foods are you eating? What type of foods are you eating? And what time of the day are you eating them? Everyone says I'm eating healthy. Great. Salad, chicken, protein, and blah, blah. But are you eating at the same time every day? Are you going to bed the same time every day? Are you having enough water every day? Are you skipping your snacks every day? Do you binge on the weekends? If we can look at patterns and we look at trends, we can sit down with you and show you where you're doing well and where you're not doing well to get help on. Then we go through the body composition and we break down the difference between external weight and internal weight. Remember, if you weigh 200 pounds, is that 150 pounds of muscle and 50 fat? Is it 180 muscle and 20 fat? If you know the difference between internal comp and external comp, if you're someone that's so weight conscious and you do not want to step on a scale, it will empower you to realize that there's a certain amount of muscle on your body and a certain amount of fat in your body.
That essentially matters more.
100%. We go through body fat percentage in different areas of your body, arms, trunk, and legs. We go through explaining to you what your lean mass, fat mass is, the visceral tissue you have. Visceral tissue, for those of you who don't know, is more, I would say, challenging or scarier than you having a problem of not wanting to go to the gym, because visceral tissue is the tissue that goes underneath your midsection. So within your abdominal region. We go through girth measurements, we go through the movement screening assessment, and then we actually take you on the floor and have a workout. Now that's a lot of information. And if you're getting that from the start of your workout, I guarantee you'll feel more confident in tracking through the next 15 days of your process. That's it for today's podcast. We hope you enjoyed this fitness episode from the Pure Motivation Podcast. If anyone has questions for us, you can reach us at Pure Motivation Fitness on Instagram. You can DM us. You can send us an email to Daniel@puremotivationfitness.com. But more importantly, if you want to give us a call, we're at 905-832-3331. If you mention this podcast and you just mention fitness assessment, we'll give you a complimentary 1.5 hour fitness assessment to come into the club and try it. And if you don't live near us, we can do it online for you. Remember, we may not gain your business today. We may not gain you to join our club and our program. But if I can gain your trust, if I can get you to know me and like the program and love what we offer, you may suggest or refer somebody else that's next to you or that needs the help. That's it for all. If you can kindly share this podcast with anyone you know that it can help, if you can share it on your social media, that'd be great. And if you have any questions, let us know. That's it for today. Stay tuned for the next podcast and keep changing lives.